evening, and welcome to the premiere episode of Tech Bytes, right here on Bilyonaryo News Channel. I'm Jeffrey D., Information Security Expert and former Undersecretary of the Department of Information and Communications Technology. Each week, we'll break down the latest tech innovations, challenges, and how they're shaping our daily lives. Now let's jump into this week's top tech headlines.
Microsoft warns AI now used in global cyber attacks. A new report from Microsoft shows that countries like Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea are using AI to create fake online content and target government systems. Microsoft detected over 200 AI-driven incidents in July alone. That's twice as many as last year and 10 times more than in 2023, showing how quickly AI is being used for cyber attacks. The Atty Cybersecurity brings global meetup to Manila. The biggest cybersecurity minds are coming to Manila this November for VC CTRL Manila 2025. Happening on November 19, the meetup aims to make Philippines a cybersecurity powerhouse, connecting professionals, students, and tech innovators to discuss the latest trends and threats happening online. And in mobile tech, Honor launches its first evolving AI flagship in China. Honor has unveiled the Magic 8 series in China, its first self-evolving AI smartphone line. Powered by the Yo-Yo Agent, the phone can handle 3,000 daily tasks, from deleting blurry photos to organizing expenses. The Pro model boasts a 200-megapixel AI camera, Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip, and a 7,200 mAh battery with 120 watts fast charging. Honor says the Magic 8 series will reach global markets later this year.
Here in the Philippines, social media has become part of our daily lives, both for business and news, and even for connections. But with scams, deepfakes, and disinformation on the rise, the government is considering tougher action, including the possibility of blocking non-compliant platforms. Let's take a closer look at what's behind this proposal, how it works, who decides, and what this proposal means for millions of Filipinos.
Leading the government's fight against online scams and digital crimes, Attorney Renato Aboy Paraiso is the acting executive director of the Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Center, or CICC. A seasoned lawyer and tech policy advocate, he has worked with the Department of Information and Communications Technology and the Interagency Council on Cybercrime, pushing for stronger cybersecurity and digital safety measures for Filipinos.
Now on the meat of the matter, during a press briefing early September, you mentioned that certain websites and platforms may be blocked unless they comply with the Department of Information and Communications Technology's instruction of removing certain content relating to scams, illegal online gambling, and deepfakes.
Yes. Yeah, again, it was born out of frustration already. We have to recognize that content creation is already a profession, but you have to balance it out with the safety of the people using social media. So we told them that if this continues and we don't see any improvement, there is a possibility that we might block them from the Philippine sphere. But as Secretary Henry already told us, we're a long way from that pa naman. Malayo pa tayo dun.
But you did mention it in a press conference, along with Secretary Henry.
Yes, Secretary Henry was there, and the social media platforms themselves. But again, in that same press conference, they all told us that they all have zero tolerance policies when it comes to online harm. So we'll put their foot to the fire.
So how does the agency define fake online harms?
Well, for now, we depend on existing laws when it comes to online harm. So you have libel, you have CICC, child pornography cases, you have various and regulators when it comes to online gambling. But you're correct, there's a lot of gaps when it comes to the definition of things. For example, fake news. Yes. There's no definition again with fake news. So we're relying and
even on deepfakes. There's
exactly. Correct. There are a lot of gaps that need to be filled out, and hopefully the revision of 10175, which Congress is pushing right now, would put some definition for various things which emerged after the enactment of 1175.
How does CICC plan to monitor these platforms for so-called for compliance against online harms? Are there any information security risks involved, for example, for users who are using the platform, knowing that now government plans to monitor the use of the platform?
Yeah.
And how do we ensure that there is compliance?
Well, first and foremost, we rely on cooperation with them. That's their first line. Actual working coordination and partnership with these social media platforms for self-regulation. We know they can do it because they can monitor their own platforms. They tell us they self-regulate, that they can take down illegal gambling platforms. So we know that they have the technology. If that doesn't work, then we are procuring some technology that can help us monitor these with the help of AI, automated monitoring of social media platforms, a social media scrubber, if you will, to ensure that all forms of online harms you can monitor and then integrate them into our threat monitoring center in CICC.
But how do you foresee the loss of income for those who are legitimately using, for example, Facebook Marketplace or TikTok Marketplace?
Well, I know there would be some backlash. I know there would be some uproar when it comes to these holidays, but there are other alternatives. It doesn't mean that if we block one social media platform, we block them all. We just block those who don't comply. So there would be alternatives that they can go and jump to when that particular social media platform is being blocked. But again, it's not a permanent block. Like I said, it's a means for them to comply with so the existing laws in the Philippines.
Well, maybe as a way of suggestion, the government should think about trying to isolate marketplaces from this blocking, because a single day of blocking sales would mean, at least for SMEs, that's a huge loss for them already.
We understand that. Hence why we are very open with when it comes to our policies and what we are planning to do. That's why we didn't block them right away, because we can do that even without warning to the public. But we want the public to know that there is a real need for them to comply, and the need and the reason for them to comply outweighs individual interest when it comes to SMEs and their marketplaces.
But you know this, no, Attorney Aboy? I've known Attorney Aboy for quite a time. You're a very good lawyer. You know for a fact that there were provisions in the cybercrime law, RA 10175, which was repealed and was declared by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional. One of which is the blocking of websites.
Yes, without.
Do you think the Supreme Court is now open to this kind of discussion? I understand this happened like 13 years ago, or more than a decade ago. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I think based on the discussions we now have with the Supreme Court, I think that the landscape has changed so much drastically from when 1175 was enacted and then later on was questioned to where we are right now. Proliferation of fake news, misinformation, disinformation. It is bad.
And even the justices have been subjected to fake news.
And it's the clamor also of the justices. That's why, hence, the close partnership with the SC through Justice Midas Marquez and the DICT and the CICC, wherein we are discussing now on certain ways that we can implement the spirit of 1175 when it comes to protecting everyone from online harms.
That's an eye-opening discussion on how we can make our digital space safer and more accountable. But before we move to the next part, let's leave you with a quick dose of cyber smarts in our Tech of the Town trivia.
Did you know that phishing scams initiate 80 to 95% of all human-associated breaches? So if you see an unexpected reset your password message, but you didn't trigger it, it's almost certainly malicious. So stay alert. Think before you click any link and protect your digital identity.
Up next, e-commerce advocate Janette Toral shares how social media regulation could affect online sellers and everyday users. Welcome back to Tech Bytes. Earlier, we heard from the government side on why the proposed social media blocking is being considered. But how does this affect ordinary users, content creators, and online entrepreneurs, the millions who rely on social media every day for income and connection? Tonight, we hear from a digital pioneer who's been advocating for responsible online behavior and digital rights since the early days of e-commerce in the Philippines.
Known as one of the country's leading digital transformation advocates, Janette Toral is the founder of Philippine Internet Commerce Society and the Digital Filipino Club. She has championed e-commerce education, digital rights awareness, and online consumer protection for more than 2 decades. She co-authored the landmark e-commerce law of 2000 and continues to lead initiatives that promote responsible use of technology and online platforms.
So, can you briefly share with us the digital rights of Filipinos? Do you think existing laws are sufficient to protect the public against online harms?
I think what happened with all the rights that we have as human beings, no, that is covered by our consumer rights, our rights as Filipinos, what the e-commerce law or Republic Act 8792 did is that these rights also extended in its electronic manifestation. Mm-hmm. So if you're entitled to free speech in the traditional world, that also gives you the same entitlement to the electronic world. And then of course, napasa yung cybercrime law of the Philippines. Kasi noong unang mapasa yung e-commerce law, may provision siya for hacking and cracking. Pero hindi naging very detailed yung pag-aalat ng budget, paano siya i-implement ng mga kapulisan, no? Kaya doon pinunuan ni cybercrime law yung kakulangan na nasa e-commerce law. Pero at the same time...
And these are 12 years apart.
Yes,
right?
and kasi magkapatid na lumabas si cybercrime law at si Data Privacy Act, di ba?
Yeah.
Tapos ang ginawa ni cybercrime law, talagang in-explain niya yung process kung paano gagawin ng kapulisan yung kanyang duty para at the same time, yung mga tao din na maari maging biktima rin ng false accusation, alam din nila yung SOP na sinusunod. Now, nung napasa naman si Data Privacy Act, mas nag-strengthen pa yung rights ng mga Filipinos because mas na-articulate natin yung right nila to data privacy. Kasi sa e-commerce law, sinasabi natin na kung sino yung owner ng data, siya yung may absolute right to it. Para merong simpleng naka-write up doon, kaya nga that paved the way for the data privacy guidelines. Pero nung lumabas na yung Data Privacy Act, mas kinlarify na kung ano yung personal information, ano yung sensitive personal information, may right ka na ipa-remove yung data mo, may right ka na malaman kung halimbawa na decline ka. At saka kung paano siya pinoprocess, may right kang ipatanggal yung information mo. Kaya kung tutusin, pag tiningnan mo yung rights natin, mas na-empower pa nga yung mga rights natin. Kasi pag pinagpatong-patong mo tong 3 batas na to, talagang na siya, no? Nag-level up pa yung mga rights natin. Kapag recently, napasa rin ang Internet Transactions Act of 2023. Pero yung Internet Transactions Act that paved the way for the E-commerce Bureau. So, yung consumer complaints natin ngayon, mas in-strengthen siya. Kasi before, kapag halimbawa bumili ka sa platforms, yung mga shopping platforms natin, yung platforms, hindi sila accountable. Kasi sinabi sa e-commerce law, pag service provider ka lang, hindi ka dapat accountable. Pero sa Internet Transactions Act, kinorek na nila yon, no? Kasi syempre nakita, hindi pwede, kailangan maging accountable sila. So doon tayo, parang nag-mature na tayo on that. Nakita na natin na dapat may accountability sila. They're expected to perform better due diligence.
So there is now a law that actually penalizes platforms also in behalf of the sellers.
The Internet Transactions Act penalized both the seller and the platform.
Okay.
So
that's good to hear. The public should know that. So, they know, so we can also file a case against the platform. Let's say Lazada, Shopee, or Facebook Marketplace.
Kumbaga, hindi nila pwede sabihin na hindi sila liable kasi sila yung nagbigay ng channel for these sellers to be known to the public, di ba? Kaya kung tutusin, maraming ini-implement ngayon para i-safeguard ang consumer. So siguro kailangan lang talaga mas mag-align pa lahat ng mga initiatives na to para pumasok sa kaalaman ng mga consumers natin.
So Ms. Janette, let's go to the meat of the matter. I understand that you are one of those who actually questioned several provisions of RA 10175 or the Cybercrime Act of 2012, which created CICC. We had earlier Atty. Aboy. And which led to the Supreme Court declaring as unconstitutional certain provisions, one of which is the blocking of websites. And now here we are, government is proposing a regulation where they can impose holidays for social media platforms who fail to comply with the government regulations. Are your thoughts on that?
Pinaplano pa lang naman nila yon. Pero I think kailangan pagmuni-munihan nila mabuti yon. Kasi di ba nakita naman natin what happened to Nepal recently, di ba? Yung Gen Z uprising ng Nepal started, parang, hindi naman started, parang yun na yung last straw, no? Yung binlock yung mga social media websites. Talagang, diba, pag tinignan mo, nagsimula sila lumabas, nagrally sila, nagalit talaga sila. Lumawala yung access sa Facebook, sa Twitter, sa YouTube. Nagalit talaga sila kasi para sa kanila, ikinocurtail yung free speech. And I think government and I think whoever are the parties involved will also need to reflect on that. Yung sa side ng history pagdating sa cybercrime law, actually, nung pinasa siya, kahit na hindi ako nag-lobby for it, pero I was one of those who are actively defending the cybercrime law. Pero dahil nakikita rin nga na dapat magkaroon ng clarity kung okay ba siya o hindi. O sige na, nakipirma na rin ako para malinawan siya. Pero may valid points din naman eh. Kasi di ba naalala natin no, sinasabi nila, tama ba na dapat i-block yung website? Yung siguro at that time, cybercrime prevention was too early because hindi pa nila nakita yung kakayahan ng mga kapulisan natin in action. Yung ating mga enforcement. Baka ngayon, mas mataas na yung trust, mas mataas na yung paniniwala sa capability.
But let's build on that statement, Ms. Janette. Do you think, and we also asked Atty. Aboy about this, do you think that social media platforms are doing enough to curb online harms? Because let's face it, marami naman talagang online harms. There is bullying, there's even this mga challenges that are happening there, and which coaches our children to do self-inflicted harm.
Pero the platforms are not the one doing that themselves eh. It's the people who are using the platforms. Kaya siguro, babalik tayo ulit dun sa kaya nga, di ba, punta tayo sa soft skill side because there are so many things that tech cannot solve on its own. Therefore, kaya pag pinag-uusapan natin yung mga challenges na nakikita natin, mga culture dynamics yun na nagbabago na kailangan i-address natin separately. Hindi talaga siya, hindi natin pwedeng i-point yung blame na
sa social media platform.
Kasi tao pa naman.
So it should be holistic.
Tao naman ang gumagawa ng mga problemang yun.
Spot a scam online? You can report it to the Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Center. Call Hotline 1326 for 24/7 assistance. Stay safe online.
Welcome back to Tech Bytes. Before discussing the proposed government policy and social media blocking, we'll take a viewer question about tech issues. Let's begin.
Hi Jeff, do you think pwede talagang i-block ng government ang social media apps sa Pilipinas?
That's a very tough question. The answer is, it depends. There are certain laws in the Philippines which allows for blocking. For example, if it pertains to children, for example, or sexual exploitation of children, then that's an immediate takedown. In the cases of in flagrante delicto, or you are in the act of committing a crime, such as in cases of sexual abuse, or in cases of cyber sex dens, then it can be taken down. But the problem is, if the question is fake news, or it is borderline within the purview of opinion ba ito, or is this political satire, then it really depends. Most probably, the answer is no. To dig deeper, I sat down with two digital experts to unpack this issue. Atty. Aboy Paraiso, Acting Executive Director of the CICC, and Ms. Janette Toral, e-commerce advocate and digital leader. Here's our conversation. We've talked about government regulations, we've talked about being proactive, you talked about, you even had a suggestion about DSWD. baka they should have a role in this. So is there a role that ordinary users can play to ensure that both the platforms and the regulators are doing their jobs well when it comes to online harms? Maybe who would like to start? Maybe we can start with
Ladies
Janette.
first.
Ako na manguna. Sige. I think yung sa mga users, palagi naman sinasabi, buyer beware. Di ba? Think before you click. Ang dami nating naririnig dyan. So I think nandun pa rin yung pagkakaroon ng precaution, increase our digital media literacy, increase our e-commerce literacy, increase our cybersecurity literacy. We take the initiative to learn more about things before believing them. Huwag tayo maging gullible, ika nga. And, but of course, we cannot do it alone. The platforms also have to do their part kasi they are liable under the law when they don't do it. Parang ano lang yan sabihin mo sa akin na bawal mag-hack pero you make it easy for people to log in na kahit na mali yung password nila or something, no? So may ano yan, may balancing act siya dapat.
Attorney Aboy, we're talking about hacks. Sometimes people don't know they're already hacking, by the way. So what do you think the public should be aware of? And you can give some tips also on making sure that they're dalawang bagay na tips, no? Number one, that they are more resilient to online harms. And second, they're not doing online harms because some people don't know that they're doing online harms.
Well, again, you take, when it comes to engagement in social media, it's you take the good with the bad. Hindi pwedeng you reap all the benefits, you get all the rewards and the ease of social media without thinking about the liabilities and responsibilities that come with it. I think that, again, Ma'am Janet pointed it out, marami ng advocacy campaigns dyan, think before you click. Kasi to your point, marami sa ating mga kababayan hindi pa nila alam na nakagagawa na sila ng online harm. For example, yung mga comments nila might be, again, to the ordinary citizen, it's just an expression of speech, but they're bordering on libelous statements already. Some of them inciting to sedition. So that may subject them to liabilities as well. So again, it's engagement with social media. If you enjoy social media, be aware and be responsible of all your obligations in the social media platforms as well.
Thank you so much, Attorney Aboy and Janet, for joining us and giving us such valuable insights. It's always a pleasure to learn from our experts, and we hope that you can visit us here again on Tech Bytes. The Philippines is one of the highest social media penetration rate, with Meltwater estimating 78% of the population, or some 90.8 million Filipino user identities in social media. The Meta ecosystem, which is Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram, have the most number of users among social media platforms. In average, Filipinos spend 3 hours and 32 minutes in social media. That is higher than the global average of only 2 hours and 21 minutes. Government officials have a point. While social media has its benefits, it also has its fill of dark corners. The government has to protect our kids from foes that promote self-harm and that continues to persist in social media platforms. But the question is, does government really have the tools and means to monitor and protect cyber citizens? The National Telecommunications Commission Memorandum Circular Number 1, Series of 2025, was issued, directing the cooperation of telecommunications companies in blocking online harms. In Congress, a TRICOM hearing concentrating on fake news made viral through social media was started. And in these hearings, representatives of social media companies are apparently absent. Quite understandably, these social media platforms are operated by foreigners, and in most cases, they defend themselves by saying they are just platforms. These platforms even boasted that they use AI to detect bogus users and bots. But let us remember, the way these social media platforms make money is by making viral posts. This is a clear case of conflict of interests. Why would these social media platforms, for example, take down a post that gives them more hits, more engagements, and therefore more money? But here's the catch. While some online harms can clearly be detected, there is no global definition for fake news. With government oversight looming, whose agency would define fake news? And on a foundational note, is it even correct for government to define what is fake news and fake information? That is a dangerous power for governments to wield. Until next time, I'm Jeffrey D, and this is Tech Bytes, breaking down technology one byte at a time.